Hello, welcome to On Your Lane. This is the best place if you're an ambitious person. You want to make income, but you also want to make impact and live a fulfilling life. And today we're talking about the transformation protocol. It's my fancy way of saying how you can transform any area of your life. Why would you want to transform any area of your life? Because when we come through life, we don't come here like with the manual. You know how it is so cool to have something that has a manual, like a phone that tells you what it can do, what it can't do, and therefore you can use it for the right things. When we come on earth, we just come. And it's up to our parents, people who raise us, the friends we meet, and everyone else who we meet who gets some responsibility or some connection to us to really either help us or detract us from what we were meant to be. But the thing is, when we come, we're manual because not everyone is the same. So we come with different talents and gifts and abilities and interests and different intricacies as we come and are born into the world. But all that gets jumbled up in what we call average, okay? We go to school, they want you to meet certain grades across the board like everyone else. They want you to be good at everything like everyone else. And therefore, sometimes you get taglines and stumps on you that don't make sense. Right? You are maybe not good at this. You're not smart. You're a C student, right? You're not a good public speaker because one time when you tried to speak, you choked. Whatever it is. So sometimes you get to a place, and I hope you're getting to that place, and very few do get to that place, where you stop and say, you know what? I have some dreams, some desires in my life. I would like my life to go to where I want it to go. I would like to achieve the things I want to achieve, and therefore I need to make changes in my life. I go to that place. I wish I had gotten to it earlier, but I talked to a lot of people and I'm always like, what do you want from your life? Because if you're clear on what you want, then you know the process of transformation that needs to happen. And you're not transforming into a new, different person, a new version of you. You're transforming to your authentic self, to who God designed you to be. And so this protocol, which I'm going to share, is a process that helped me move from the kind of person I had become after being A+ student and being an accountant because that was going to secure my future, apparently, after working in a field for 12 years or so, and getting to that place and thinking I should be happy, but I'm not. I should be fulfilled, but I'm not. I need to make a change. And that is the process. In the moment when I was making this transformation and coming up with this process, I didn't know I was coming up with a process. So it was jumbled up. It was a mess. I would try this, I would try that, I would fail at so many things. I would cry myself to sleep. I would wake up and pray and say, God help me. But when I looked back after maybe 4 years or 3 years of going through a process where I was transitioning from corporate to entrepreneurship because I was pursuing my dream, I saw what had been happening and they came up to this process which I call the transformation process. So if you are a kind of person who might not be confident in what you want to achieve, who might not be clear about it, you are a person who really does want to achieve something remarkable. You have a dream, a vision that you believe in, but you don't know where to start, or you have started but you're not clear on the roadmap to that, then this protocol will help you move from where you are to where you should be. It will help you transform your life. Let's get into it. The first thing you do is know your identity. How do you see yourself as, right? It doesn't mean it's right when you see yourself in a certain way. Because sometimes you think, I'm not smart, and somebody sits with you and says, she's brilliant. You know, you sit and say, no, I can't sing very well, but I know I can be a backup singer, and somebody hears your voice and they're like, whoa, she's a star. You know, so our identity does not necessarily mean that's who we are for real. It just means that's how we perceive ourselves. So write down how you perceive yourself. What are your characteristics? When you come into a relationship, what are you bringing to the table, right? That is important. What are your flaws? What are your weaknesses? How you perceive yourself determines who is allowed to get into your life or how they treat you and what you attract into your life as well. So most of our identities are really messed up because of what we've gone through in life, right? I like giving an example of maybe being in 3rd grade and maybe you're supposed to give a speech, and when you're giving the speech, you cough or you choke or you say something wrong and the kids laugh so loudly. From that moment, you are hurt and you say, never will I speak in public again. And that becomes part of your identity. I'm not a good public speaker. And you refrain from anything that takes you to the public to speak. right? So that becomes part of your identity, but it's not necessarily true. You just had an experience that was negative. It is an isolated experience, but it was powerful because there was shame and guilt attached to it. And so you walked away from something that could have potentially been your skill. So identify yourself, weaknesses and strengths. Identify who you are, what you bring to the table, value, and all that, what you don't bring to the table. Just write it down so that we can look into it. Now, when you identify it that way, I want you then to say, ideally, what would you like to be, right? What is the ideal person for you, the ideal you? Write that down again. That will show you a gap, right? It will show you that I am shy, but I would like to speak in public. Maybe I want to be a politician, but I need to speak, but I'm shy. I am not smart, but I would like to be maybe a software developer, whatever it is. So you put those things like ideal you and the current you, how you see yourself, and see what is the discrepancy there. That will take us to the next step, which is then exposure. Exposure is powerful because when you are restricted, your world gets small. You get to think that everyone in our world doesn't know IT, everyone in our world doesn't know how to build, because you're exposed to people who don't know how to build. So when you get exposed, your reality starts to change. You know, when you are staying in a small village and you've never seen a car, you've never seen proper plumbing, when you go to a place where there is plumbing, it'll be like, what is happening in this world? Exposure brings in possibilities, brings in options. And now, as we're talking about transformation, what does this exposure look like? It means you intentionally looking at spaces where people are doing what you desire to do, right? So in the first step, we said your ideal you and the current you. You saw the gap there, right? Now, the ideal you has places she would be in or he would be in. Maybe he'll be at a conference. Maybe he'll be in a certain class. Maybe he'll be in a certain neighborhood. Maybe even at a certain coffee shop. Go there, expose yourself to those places. Sometimes you can just be in a certain shop and your mindset is like being transformed. You're like, how can people buy a handbag at this price? Because you thought everybody was broke. No, not everybody's broke. You know, so exposing yourself opens your mind to new possibilities and it shatters some belief systems that are keeping you limited. Right? So expose yourself to books. Read things that make you uncomfortable. You're like, no, there's no way you can be a millionaire in 2 days. Read it. See what they're talking about. Oh no, there's no way you can hear God in this generation. Read it. They're talking about hearing God and see what that does to you. Exposure is powerful. So when you have understood the identity you have and the identity that is ideal, and then you intentionally expose yourself to the right things, you'll be surprised how many pathways will be developed. You'll be like, oh, that can add up to that. Oh, I fit in here. Oh, people who are C+, or people who are artistic and they're not considered the geniuses have these pathways. They can achieve this, they can build this. You start seeing that and you'll be like, wow, possibilities are endless. So from this exposure, you move to the next step, which is tweaking, right? So you remember that identity you had. Right? So let's make tweaks. With the new information you have learned, what adjustments can you make? For me, the adjustments I had to make were like even my morning routine, because I just believed I'm a kind of lazy person. I wake up whenever I want to wake up. I like impromptu things, so I don't like to plan. Those were just things that were part of my identity, the things that were holding me back. So when I started seeing people who had the same brain like mine, who thought the same way, who desired the same things, who were building things that I wanted, and I started seeing, oh, they have morning routines. Oh, they plan. Oh, they are productive. They're intentional about productivity. They don't complain. I started making tweaks. I was like, okay, how can I stop complaining? Oh, they don't compare with other people, really? And I grew up in the class I was in uni, very competitive. And it was hard for you to celebrate anything because you'd be like, oh, what did he do? What did she do? I thought I had done something amazing. You know, when you buy yourself a car and you're like, this is it. And you meet somebody who has the latest version and you're like, oh, no, your car is less just because they have better. That is the environment I was in a lot in uni. And so I had to identify like, oh my goodness, I need to stop comparing. It's taking my energy. And people who achieve the things I want to achieve, learning that from the exposure I had, don't compare. They focus. So I remember going on social media and unfollowing everyone, whether you were my old friend or something. If what you share is not helping me or identifying me, or I just unfollowed. I'm like, let me see who I'll miss. And I ended up not missing so many people, and it cleared my mind. Those are tweaks. They might be simple, but they're powerful. Waking up earlier, reading something, not just touching your phone all the time. Those are all tweaks that will make a difference. Because sometimes we think that the tweaks that make a difference are those big things that happen. Like one day I woke up and I decided I'm going to be running 20 Ks. No, the big things that happen are the little things that you do daily. So when you decide, you know what, I will not talk about anybody. At lunch, when you're sitting down and people are like, look at her, look at him. No, I'll just read a book. Seems like a small thing because maybe you have your lunch, you only have 15 minutes to read a book, but you'll be surprised that over time that will compound, it will change you. So these are the kind of tweaks you make after you have seen that exposure. And before you know it, your identity will have been changing as well. The next thing you do is act, right? So you've been making some tweaks, and then you remember your identity, you remember the exposure, you remember the tweaks you have made. Now take some bold steps toward the ideal identity you have. Because these tweaks will build your confidence. These tweaks you've been making will make you more productive. They will connect you to the right people and all that. So what is your ultimate dream? That ideal identity you have, what is that for? Why do you want to have that identity? It could be because you want to build an amazing business. You want to be a great minister of the word of God. You want to be a great spouse. You want to be a great parent, whatever it is. It could be your vision, your big thing, that ideal person, that ideal identity that you had was pointing to that. Now take some action that moves you towards that, right? For me, it was starting a business and also applying for a specific fellowship. I wanted this fellowship so much because I thought it would expose me, and it would be the first time I would be in a place where I would have a different identity. I was so used to saying, hi, I am Mavis, I am a chartered accountant, and I'm a finance manager at this bank. And I was used to that, and I didn't know who I was afterwards. So I was like, the action I can take is applying for this fellowship because it was for entrepreneurs. So when I went there, I didn't introduce myself as a chartered accountant, finance manager anymore. I wasn't that anymore. In that space, I could actually say, I am an entrepreneur, I have a farm, I do this. And it was different. It felt different. And the reaction and the connections I was having were different as well. So that was an action I took. It took a lot from me to see myself differently, but it moved me towards my ideal of becoming an entrepreneur. And also starting that business and making changes in my business also helped me do that. So for you, after you've done all this, take some action. It doesn't have to be drastic action. It can be just a small action you take that is you taking a chance on that ideal identity that you have and that vision that you carry. The last thing you should do is become. That means now you do this daily. You can take some action and then you find out, this is tough, and you just let it go and quit and be like, that is it. I'm done. It was hard. And I have met a couple people recently who have these visions and dreams, and I have seen that, they are becoming it. They have taken action towards it, and it just becomes really hard. And for every vision, for everything worth having, it is going to become hard. Even if you just want to be healthy, and maybe in your family there are no healthy people, you're like, there's obesity in my family, I am committed, my vision is to be healthy, to eat well and everything. When you start that, you feel some motivation, because when you start something, there is that motivation, excitement, and then you just get to a place where it's like, poof, and it's just boring, you just hate it, you're just done, it's too hard. That's where you have to believe that your identity has been changing. Remember those tweaks. Remember those adjustments you were making. You were becoming somebody different. Yeah, you took action, small action. Now you are somebody different. You no longer say, well, I am a smoker who's trying to quit. No, now you have not smoked for 2 months. You are a non-smoker. You don't even identify as it anymore. Like I don't say, well, I'm a previous accountant. No, now I'm just an entrepreneur. Become it. It's going to be challenging. You're going to maybe meet people who are looking down on it. You're going to not maybe get the privileges you used to get when you identified in your comfort zone, maybe not the friendships you used to have in that place. But becoming is you just embracing this new reality of you, embracing the challenges that come there and overcoming them and saying, this is the new me. That means you don't relapse to the old habits. And if you do, you come back, you get support and come back. But you're owning this new version of you. You're taking consistent action, even though it seems hard and uncomfortable. You're just saying, this is what I am now. I'm a healthy person. This is what I am now. I don't drink alcohol. This is what I am now. I'm a positive person. I don't gossip. This is what I am right now. I don't compare or compete or anything. You are becoming. And becoming is what we do every day. We never stop becoming because there's always a better version of you. So today you do something, tomorrow you do better, tomorrow you do better, the next day you do better. And that is you fully transformed. This is a process, and I put it in order. And you might think, well, I am on this level, now I'm back to this level. Sometimes you can move from identifying your identity, then you move to tweaks. You're making tweaks already. then maybe you go back to exposure before you go to taking action. Maybe you are becoming, and then you go back to say, okay, I need new exposure so that I know how to handle the situation I'm in. This is nice and neat the way I put it, but in life it happens here and there, and don't be bothered by it. As long as you're moving forward, that is good progress, and you're going to transform and achieve what you want to do. Then again, I'm going to emphasize, why do you want to transform? Because life will give you what you are. Okay, you can't be a negative person and expect life to bring you all these positive opportunities for glorious achievements and everything. No, if you are negative, that's what you get out of life. And now, when you understand your identity, when you understand that I am actually a negative person, I gossip a lot, I lie a lot, and everything, and that's your current identity, your ideal identity is different. When you become different, you'll be surprised that your reality will begin to change as well. When you go through this process, you expose yourself, and then you start making tweaks, and then you start taking action, and you're becoming different. You'll be surprised that in the same space you're in, there are different opportunities, there are different connections, there are different networks, and you'll be like, where was this all my life? And that's how I had in my experience. I was like, was this always there? Like, even when I was waking up early and I'd have 2 hours before my day started, I'll be like, was this 2 hours always there? Even when I was rushing, you know? So yeah, become different so that you can achieve the amazing, amazing things that God has prepared for you and you have been created for. When I started this, I talked about having a manual for what you can do and what you can be. There is a manual. God has provided that manual. And going through this transformation process allows you to just do what you were designed to do and achieve income, but as well as impact and fulfillment from your life. I hope this was helpful. If it was, I appreciate your comments. Leave them right there. And also like, share, subscribe so that we can continue to grow this community. And if you're a person who's like, you know what, I want this transformation. I want to grow. I want to achieve my purpose. Work with me. You will enjoy it in this circle of greatness. And the transformation there will be tremendous. I can promise you that. And my name is Mavis Tandizokanjata. Find me on Social Connect so that we can just gist and laugh and whatever. I'll see you next week, all right? Bye-bye.